Thank you for joining us on the Gear Nation podcast. Today we have Blair with Junkyard Empire and RevitAuto. Thank you for joining us today, Blair.
John, thank you so much for having me out.
Awesome.
So a little bit about me.
Let's do it.
So I started my company right out of college. It actually started out as like Blair's Car Care. And we were just like a concierge meets mechanic, and we would, take cars places, detail, all that stuff. And then as I started working through college, it turned into Revitalization Auto, which Revit is short for. From there, it's been like this crazy journey. We started off doing extended warranty claims for Fidelity warranty services, and then we were doing lease turn-in inspections for Lexus and Toyota, and then we started getting into the certified used vehicle kind of like arbitrators. So we would go to dealerships and help train the people on what a car needs to be in order to be qualified for a certified used car. So, your Toyota that we drove here, and if that was a CPU, like, oh man, I could have been at it. But
that reminds me of something too. You were telling me that's kind of early on got you into cars because you went to school for something else.
Yeah, so
I
wasn't a mechanic in school.
Yeah.
So I went to Shepherd University because it's close to Summit Point Racetrack, and I didn't have the opportunity to take like full advantage of it. But I went there a couple times. I got to hang out with Dave Coleman, who's like this amazing Porsche guy, and all the Porsche guys who were like watching this, and I'm like, Dave Coleman, the one and only DC. They're like, I know that old crazy guy. He's got like a boat-tailed Model T or Model A that he still races in. It's so fast. He's so cool. And, he worked with like OG Racing and all those guys. Just an awesome man there. Taught me a lot of valuable lessons without, ever letting me hold a wrench in his shop. Just really good teacher at car shows. And I went to university. I wanted to be like an athletic director at like an inner city school with kids that were just at risk for all sorts of bad things, whether it was like, bad area or just, super difficult childhood, single parent, all that stuff. I mean, there's so much bad. So I was like, I'm going to go work in these inner city schools, and I'm going to teach these kids good morals and values through sport, and I'm going to help them get to where they need to be. And then I did it for a summer, and I was like, holy crap, if I want to help these kids, I need a crap ton of money, like serious money. And then I was like, I love cars, and I was working at a natural resource land management place, Sustainable Solutions, in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. And the guy, James, has turned into was my boss, but turned into a great friend. And he actually pushed me to start my company, Revit. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to be an athletic director, and I wanted to get kids back outside. I mean, my senior project, I think, actually was used to get an accreditation for the program that I went to school for, because I created this whole outdoor CrossFit gym type scenario, and document it all out and explain, talk to psychologists to figure out what actually happens when you're in nature and what changes in your brain. Did all that research about being outside and eating well, and encapsulated that whole thing into a outdoor exercise facility in a park. And it was so cool and so much fun. And that's where my passion for the YouTube channel and teaching people and helping them is, because I want to teach. I was a swim coach, and then I love that. So when I was really, really upset actually when I realized how screwed up our school systems are, I was like, oh man, I gotta become a multi-millionaire to do this. I just that's what you gotta do. I mean, Elon Musk could be Batman, but he's just sending rockets to Mars. I started Revit with a 55-piece Craftsman tool set and my Kia Sportage. That was the original Revit car. Was the Kia Sportage.
That was it.
And, it was so funny. And my first job was a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I had to do the serpentine belt. And any mechanics here know a 55 Craftsman piece tool set doesn't have the tool that you need to release tension from the belt. So I had to get a deposit for parts, get a deposit for money, go to the auto parts store, buy the serpentine belt tool, which is just someone who welded on a 3/8 or half-inch, little head to a flat bar.
Yeah.
But I didn't have it, so it's I've been doing that now for 7-8 years. The next job pays for the next tool.
Yeah.
And you know, I started using Harbor Freight's junk, and the more I used their stuff, the more I liked it, because I was like, man, it's getting better.
Yeah.
And then they came up with all these new lineups, and then one day I was actually calling Harbor Freight over and over again, be like, hey, if you want me to do tool review videos, like give me product. And they were like, no. And then one day they called me, like 2 weeks after I was like, all right, I'm done contacting them. They don't want to work with me. I started talking to Gear Wrench because I met them at SEMA. And they were like, yeah, like we want to work with you. And then I actually ended up connecting them with someone else who was like a way better fit, because I was like, they told me the audience they were looking for, and I knew what my audience was. And I was like, dude, I want the $80,000 worth of tools you want to give me, but like, you should give it to this guy because he can give you like way better quality video. So I went to the Harbor Freight team, and they called me up, and we started making content for them, and that's been awesome. And their stuff's actually like pretty good. Like I have a rule when I buy stuff from Harbor Freight, and that is, if I use the tool and it breaks, I will go buy the next one up. So like, I remember we were trying to get an axle nut off an Audi, and we couldn't get, because they're Allen keys, and we couldn't get the axle bolt off. So then I just called my buddy, you know, Artie from Atco, and then I bought, you know, the next thing. But like, that's the only job that I broke the tool on. So, you know, it's like I save so much money.
Yeah.
Because like, as a mechanic, you just need to make money, and if the tool gets the job done faster, you buy it.
Yeah.
But it's like, most of their stuff, it's not bad. Like,
yeah, that's you know, kind of the go-to place last minute too. Like my dad, he's a carpenter, and you know, he's got his whole garage is just set up to do woodwork and stuff, and that's his go-to place. He loves it there.
yeah.
But compressors, I mean, they're affordable, but like you said, I have noticed too, their products
getting
have gotten
better.
better over the years.
No, like, I mean, all my impact guns, Ingersoll Rand. Like, all my small electric tools, Milwaukee. Like, you know, but like all my hand tools and toolboxes and stuff like that, it's like, dude, Harbor Freight all day. It's like, you know, I want to go make money. I don't want to pay someone else's salary to turn wrenches.
Yeah. So we spin back to the your company a little bit.
Yeah.
And kind of keep this in perspective of the time we're in right now. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously, COVID. Yeah. What are we in? This is October.
Yeah.
So, and it's still kind of lingering.
Oh, man.
So, you know, I was a big hit to everybody. It's really weird because some industries, manufacturers, like dropped off or sold or just closed down. There's been a few, but and then others have like exploded.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really weird in automotive right now.
Yeah.
And you know, fortunately, like brands like we were talking about Monster Transmission, Thor, you know, from what they've seen is that guys are, you know, stuck at home for a few months, got project cars they want to finish, or they're starting their own businesses and got a pickup truck to get on the road. A lot of the do-it-yourselfers were just, you know, exploded. And with stimulus, they had some extra money, so next thing you know, they're buying all these parts for their vehicles and working on them at home. So it's really an interesting time. They shut down SEMA this year, you know, PRI. So some of the things that really boost these manufacturers' growth are just gone at a standstill. So I know for you, you've had, you know, as a purchaser from these vendors, I know you've heard and seen different ones struggle, but also for yourself, you know, you've had to kind of change the way you do things to adapt to keep going. So what's that been like, that process for you?
COVID has been awful, right? So I don't even know where to start with this. It like, oh man. I mean, so the first thing is like my first event that I've ever done since COVID started, since March 16th, was the Turn and Burn event. And like, I'm a very like physical person. So when I see my mom or my dad or my stepmom or my stepdad, like I give them a huge hug, you know, and like, there's none of that, you know? And like, just like from that emotional standpoint, and then my employees, like, we're either riding in separate cars or like they have to wear masks together and, you know, social distancing, and like, you know, my friend's baby, like who I had so much fun with, like, you know, being like the Funkle and all that stuff. You can't do that. But, you know, financially it's crazy because my business, RevitAuto, we specialize in helping small business owners better manage their mechanical needs. So what that means is like companies like Gourmet Kitchen, Monumental Vending, P&F Meat Markets, like all these companies that have, refrigerated trucks, and they create amazing food for fancy restaurants in DC, because that's, our base is Washington, DC. They took a massive hit, and they were like 70% of my income. And it was crazy. It was like March 16th, it was like done. And then we were supposed to hear from, Discovery Channel or Motor Trend, whoever is making the decision on if we're coming back, if we're gonna come back. Yeah. And we still haven't heard. And we actually wouldn't even have been legally able to film because of the amount of people that would have been working in one building at one time. And we're in Montgomery County, Maryland, and I think that they canceled trick or treating this year. Like, wow. I don't think you can go to houses, get candy. Like, it's serious. And
that really brings it home when you think about the things that you take for granted, and then your daily lives, like trick or treating. You can't do that this year. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's so derailing for my business and my team, because last year when I did the TV show, my team stepped up. Like the crew that I work with, like I trust them so much. They do such a great job. Like if you guys are watching this back home, like my office lady is a godsend. She's just like the best attitude, works from home, kicks butt. Like I have to tell her repeatedly at 5 o'clock to stop texting me, because I want her to like be done work, because and if it's like something super important, like, I get it, but like I'm really trying to create this work-life balance for my team. And my main right-hand man, Aaron, has just stepped up in such a big way. But like, so when I do the TV show, I like sacrifice all the growth for my business to do the TV show. But I'm trying to build a brand and get on a new platform so that I can like help people and do things like Fix It Forward and work with you guys, and it's worth it. There's a financial risk, but like it's crazy. It's like I sacrificed time in my relationship with my significant other, my family, my friends, like miss people's weddings. Like it's crazy. And then the first quarter of 2020, we did more business in that quarter than we did in the entire year of 2019, including money that I got from the TV show. Wow. So March 16th comes around. I just sunk all the cash that I had underneath my mattress into a tire truck, spent like over $100K setting this thing up. I had my accounts receivable at the beginning of the pandemic was $86,500. And I haven't seen 50 of that 80. It's gone. And COVID for me was, courts were closed. Companies were going out of businesses and restructuring and settling all their bad debt by selling off their trucks super cheap that they owed me money on. And because of the way Montgomery County in Maryland is, you have to have possession of the truck to put a lien on it. Well, I'm a mobile guy, so I go to them, so I don't have possession, so I have to go to the courthouse to, so like my attorney's doing this like crazy, but like, we're trying to get money out of these people that I understand are going through like, tragic things, but it's like literally the week before I came down here, this guy owes me like $15,000, and I'm driving, and he's pulling up in a new Range Rover, and I'm like, all right, buddy, you owe me $15K, you get a brand new Range Rover, like, come on, like, don't tell me you don't have money, like, you're just spending it on your golf course and stuff like that. But like, so for us, like the small guys, totally trashed. And then keeping my employees there, they would have gotten more money. And this is why I love my team. They would have made more money if they just said, I don't feel safe at work. We don't have COVID protocols. They would have made more money, stay at home and do nothing. Yeah. But like, they literally came into work and grinded it out and worked more hours than they even had to keep us going. And like, that was our company was crushed. Yeah. And I saw so many businesses go out of business. I mean, we were 7 people strong, and now we're like 4. And so like, we had to reduce our staff, we had to reduce our offerings. It's like super challenging trying to replace all the work that we've missed. But, it sounds like really doom and gloom, but it's like the greatest part of this is the opportunities you have to restructure and grow your base and your foundation. So it's like,
And that's good to see. I mean, that really tests the character of the people that work for you too. To see that shows that they see that this is, a temporary thing. And I think that's a lot of people don't see that. Yeah, I'm going to go sit at home and soak up this check.
Oh yeah.
But guess what? That's only going to last for so long.
Yeah.
And then that bridge you may have burned
Yeah.
just by telling them, hey, good luck.
Yeah.
Now what do? Now you got to get back into the workplace and try to find a job again. I mean, it's hard, but it does test the character of a lot of people, and you see who's who in those moments.
Yeah,
But
awful.
you're fortunate to have a good team like that.
So lucky. I mean, I'm so blessed, and like my family's awesome too. I haven't asked, but I know that if I like begged and got on a knee and was like, "Please, can I have a loan?" Because that's the thing is like I'm super fortunate. Like I live in a fifth wheel RV camper that I had my really good friend renovate, and I live on a property and I have 3 pet cows, and like I run my business from there, and like all the videos I edit, it's either this awesome guy Rashad or my good buddy Dave or me like behind the computer. So like we're this really small setup that looks massive, but it's like I live so simply to be able to afford to do all that stuff. And I just remember sitting back and I went up on a trip and there was this woman sitting outside of Target, and she had a sign up, and she was like, hey, like, need money for food. So I walked back inside, and I'm with like one of my super close friends who I love to death, and we buy a gift card for this woman, and we go out and we chat with her, and she's like, I was working this job as a call center, and I lost my job, and she's like, I got the the $600 a week, but then that ended, and then she's like, I have kids, and like my man and I aren't together, and like he can't get a job, and things are awful. And I was like, yeah, I understand. Like I'm in a really bad situation too, because like I owe money to vendors, and people owe me money, and like it's super crazy, and I'm like handing her the gift card, and I got in the car and I'm like driving away, and I was like, holy crap, I was like, I'm nothing like that woman. Like that woman has like real struggle.
Yeah.
Like I still have people, like I could talk to my parents, I could go to the bank, like I have options.
Yeah.
And I feel like a huge part of the country is super underserved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't want to get into politics or anything, because then this would go viral.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it's so frustrating to see, like all the local small stores had to shut down their doors. They were required to shut their doors, right? But like Walmart's and Amazon were allowed to stay open.
Well,
they absorbed that market space.
Yeah, and the people that it's frustrating when you see the people that really need the help not getting the help.
Oh yeah.
So that's a perfect segue.
Yeah.
To something really cool that you did. So let's talk about that. Fix it forward. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, man. So I started Revit to help people. Like I wanted to, it's actually Revitalization Auto. I wanted to buy property in the ghetto or a designated hub zone, or, just not a great part of town. And I want to buy the property, and then I want to buy local houses right next to it. And then I want to get government contracts. And I want to take kids that don't have the same resources that I did as a kid, teach them a trade, and push them out the door to get a job where they can actually support themselves, support their family. Like that's Revit's dream, and I'm awesome. Not stopping. I'm gonna get there, but I realize I need a crap ton of money first. So it's like I'm gonna be like, yo, let me use my capitalist brain to make a crap ton of money so that I can do all this charity work. And that's like the dream with Revit. Fix It Forward was this idea that it really started a super long time ago. For $10 as a kid, you could get your movie ticket, and you could get this like little like snackable thing. It was like a tiny thing of popcorn, a couple of like goldfish, and or like the Swedish fish, and a Coke, or like a small thing. And it was like my favorite thing to do. Like I love eating popcorn. I love watching movies. It's just like it was the best, because that was the only time like I had like family quality happy time. So
yeah.
So I get up there, I hand the guy my money and grab my thing, and I turn around and walk away. And he's like, "Oh, you don't have enough money." And I'm like, "Oh, that's weird." And I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Yeah, and I'm a kid." And he's like, a teenager trying to explain to me what happened. And I look and I see my dad's car. It's like already gone, and the movie's getting ready to start. And I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "Well, can I like, not have popcorn, just have the candy, or like, is there like something?" He's like, "No, it's a package deal." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I'm all right." And the teenager was nice. Like you could see he was like, he's like, "Maybe just keep the Coke, And this woman behind me, she was just like, I'll pay for it." And I've never received before an act of kindness from a stranger. And I still haven't to this day. This is like the only woman that's ever like, doesn't know me, nothing, just like, can I help?
Yeah.
And I turn around and she's just like, don't worry, one day you'll have the opportunity to do, I'm like gonna cry from it, but like,
Stop it.
yeah, I know, right? It's tough, dude, because this is like, I believe that there are moments in people's lives that change the course of their life forever. And like, she touched my life, and for the better. So, try not to cry about it, you know, because like that moment for me, and I've always like, even as a kid, like always had a big heart, but like that moment for me was like, oh snap, like this feeling that she made me feel was amazing.
Yeah.
And like it was that moment I was like, oh snap, I was like, I want to make other people feel this way.
That wraps it up here at Gear Nation Podcast. Blair, thank you again so much for joining us. If people want to know more about you and what you do, how can they find out?
John, thanks so much for having me on here. You can get me on Instagram, Facebook, and Google. Just RevitAuto, R-E-V as in Victor, I-T Auto.
All right. See you next time on Gear Nation Podcast.